Welcome back. Now to an issue that I'm sure a lot of you are interested in. How to ensure that the fuel scarcity in the land is brought to an end? Well, this is an issue the Senate tackled extensively.
Endless queues at petrol stations have become a constant feature across the country. The problem defied solutions by previous administrations and is rearing its head a few months into the present government. Federal lawmakers are concerned that the scarcity is once again bringing hardship to the people.
For the past few days, Nigerians have been suffering.
Some lawmakers called for stiffer punishment for petroleum marketers who hoard petroleum products.
Change has come, but there is no change. Because we are still doing the same thing. Even increasing what we have done before. The fuel queues are still here. The subsidy payments are still here. There is no hope in sight. The sharp practices are still here. And we are asking, where is this change?
For the past few days, Nigerians have been suffering. It's been uneasy for many to travel. The prices of goods have skyrocketed, and it has affected lives and livelihood in the last few days.
The Senate urged the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and other stakeholders to continue with the current push to end the scarcity.
The petroleum minister should tell us the basic truth, whether there is real supply into the system. Because the petroleum tankers are not on strike.
Minister of State.
These are very important decisions we have to take over the next few weeks, months, of what is best for us in the management of the petroleum downstream sector, regards the supply of fuel in the country. These, as you all know, is what we're seeing now. It's not something that started today. It's a backlog of issues that have been. I remember when I was in the 7th Senate, this issue of fuel subsidy was an issue that had been there, and we've been talking about it.
The lawmakers also agreed to work with the executive to find lasting solutions to the recurring problem of scarcity of petroleum products. For nearly 3 weeks, this is what you see at different petrol stations across the country. Long queues at petrol stations have defied solutions by previous administrations and has again reared its head a few months into the present government. The Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream called a meeting with agencies in the petroleum sector to find solutions to this problem.
We are mandating the minister, the permanent secretary, the heads of agencies to ensure that the scarcity of petroleum products and the discrepancies in the pricing stop in the next 2 weeks. We don't want to hear any story anymore. Nigerians are suffering.
The heads of the agencies explained the reason for the problem in the petroleum downstream sector, which they say have made petrol scarcity a recurring problem in the country.
Duty in PPMC is basically to supply and distribute fuel. But we hear some reports that in the depot, there are sharp practices. We've talked to some of the people, and what is happening? They said, look, there are parallel accounts. Apart from the home price of 87, we have to pay other amounts, and so it's difficult for you to, yes, parallel accounts. Then there are the other people who divert the products itself. You have heard instances where you're supposed to offload the whole product. You may offload one compartment. The other two are sold in the black market. Or the truck itself, after clearance from PPRA, DPR, PEF, and ourselves, they just, on the tarmac, there's some markets, and it's sold and diverted. And we said we cannot continue this way. We are not structured to do investigative work. This is economic sabotage against our country because this is a distortion of the economy. Our persons, our populace stand hours on end waiting for PMS that is readily available. So what have we done? We've called the security agents, you are trained to help us in this. This is economic sabotage, and it has to be dealt from the very foundation. We went to DSS, immediately they sprung into action, and results are being seen. Immediately we went that same night, they sprang into action. And once they can help us, because for you to prosecute anyone, you must have evidence. And with the DSS working in tangent with the police and ourselves, I'm sure very soon, most distinguished, you'll be seeing results.
Eventually, we will need a strategic build-up for Nigeria. We cannot move on like this. There must be some strategic, just as we have strategic grains reserve, we need strategic build-up in specific locations in Nigeria, so that if one sector fails, which is what has happened now, one partner has not been able to, the burden that is on PPMC will be lightened a little. Of course, as we said, the rate of vandalism, Arepo, the Mosimi, Atlas Cove, we just finished last weekend. Before we said Jack Robinson, it was vandalized again. So we are back to square one.
The subsidy money has to be paid so that the other marketers...
As at when due?
As at when due. Okay. So that the other marketers can play their own role, contribute their own quota into the system.
So that is the key thing, right? The subsidy?
Yes, ma'am. And then there's another thing which we are currently working on in NNPC, and that is making sure the pipelines come back into function.
Members of the committee then sought to find out the outstanding amount owed petroleum marketers.
The total outstanding for 2015, which has been processed up to 31st October, is 294 billion 433 million 726,343.47 naira.
The problems which the head of petroleum agencies identified as being responsible for the recurring problem of fuel scarcity are not new. They are the same problems which the agencies identify almost every time they appear before the Senate in the last few years. If the present administration does not address these issues head-on, the problem of petrol scarcity may continue for a very long time.